Now, I do want to talk about this. This was something that I just recently was referred to. I had never heard of it before until a few days ago, and I ended up sending you a copy of this. This is actually a book, I believe it is a kid's book, and it is called Tight Times by Barbara Shook Hazen. So you can get this at your local purveyor of books, your local Borders or Barber Books. All you probably have a bookstore on every corner in your neighborhood.
We do.
So,
we do. And at our house too. We've got a bookstore at our house too, I think. Yeah.
Little library and all that. But I sent this to you. I didn't prime you for it. I didn't, tell you what to expect on it. I read through it yesterday. It probably was not quite what I expected. I guess I didn't really expect anything, but I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts. Maybe you could tell us what this is before we get into kind of discussing it and kind of our thoughts on it.
Well, I'll try to get my best LeVar Burton impression on, since it's a Reading Rainbow book.
We'll see you next time.
Yes, the song was playing in my head. I was back to my childhood. Yeah, so this is a book, I think copyright was 1979, maybe. So I was a little surprised, to be honest. I didn't even know that.
You're right.
It's maybe older than one of us on this podcast, and I'm not sure who, but it's anyone's guess. It's anyone's guess. We'll let the viewers guess. So this is a book about from a child's perspective, and let me just start by saying I read this with my kids. We have read this like 10 times. We finished reading it, and they wanted me to read it again immediately.
Wow.
So
I think you have had this book maybe 48 hours. Right.
They really liked it. So it was definitely a different kind of book, I guess, than they were used to, which was great. I thought that was really fun. So thanks again for sending that. But it's kind of, hand-drawn illustrations that are throughout that are in black and white. And I think that's kind of intentional. It's supposed to sort of not be super colorful. Yeah, it's supposed to be just like really raw and real. And the idea is that, from a kid's perspective, he's asking if he can get a dog. And you're starting to realize throughout the story that it's kind of tough times for the parents. The mom is, in that picture, sewing her own, shirt, and the dad, you can tell there's some stress, and the parents are saying, like, don't bother me, don't keep asking for a dog. There's some anger and stress that are kind of coming through, and even just as the child describes his day, he's staying with a grandparent, I believe, and they can't. There's certain things they can't do because of money, and all of a sudden the dad comes home. Spoiler alert. Pause now if you want to get this and read it. But the dad comes home and he's lost something, and then the child realizes that he's lost his job. So you can just tell there's already stress before the job loss, and now it's even more stressful. And kind of right at that moment, the boy is kind of really focused on the dog, and you can kind of see the childness kind of coming through here. And he gets to go outside because the mom's going to talk with the dad, and as he's outside, he discovers this cat that's in a trash bin, this super scrawny little kitten. And basically, there's a woman who brings him over to show him the kitten and says, "You can have it, it's yours." And he brings it in, and the parents just kind of lose it. They actually cry, and I mean, I'm not going to lie, I had a little teared up a little bit as I was reading it, because I just kind of could feel the kind of rawness of what was going on here. And the kid cares for this little kitten and actually tries to get it some milk and spills milk, and you sort of realize that's kind of a big deal for the family because of the cost of that. So they say he can keep the cat, and that's kind of like special moment, I guess. The parents allow him to keep the cat, and they say, but never ask for a dog again. And then the kind of humorous ending is that the dad asks the son, what do you want to call your cat? And he says, I'm going to call him Dog, because I really wanted a dog. And so he calls the cat Dog, and now has this cat. So it's just, it's one of those kids' books where it really sparks a nice conversation. I mean, it did with my kids too, and because they're kind of like, what does this mean? And it's not, it's not necessarily a happy ending. It was just kind of a real ending, that the kid's trying to figure this all out, and yet there's kind of hard times going on. So I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was kind of a different kind of book. I mean, it's sort of old school, if you will, for a kid's book. It was fun to dig in.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, you nailed it. I guess as a kid's book, I kind of expected it to end on a happy note, I found a new job or whatever, or, you get the dog. And, in this case, nothing really happens the way you expect. And in that way, I like kind of the the realness of it, the authenticity that I guess I felt. Like you, it was kind of like the same way I feel about Pixar movies. You know, they're these movies for kids, but then sometimes you're getting choked up as the adult, and I'm like, is anyone looking? There were those points where I really related because, when I was younger, my father, when he became a financial planner, when he started that up, and my sister was a little younger, 4 years younger than me, so I think even harder on her. But we were told things were tight. The money was going to the business was not generating money. It's actually one of the reasons that my family stopped giving Christmas gifts. So we had kind of that traditional Christmas where you'd wake up Christmas morning, you'd get gifts from everyone, and kids look forward to that. And when it became kind of like everyone's just going to get one special gift, and then this year we're just going to have a family time together, we're not going to do the gifts. I think as a kid, you can't appreciate how hard it is and sometimes how much is beyond an adult's control, no matter how much. Because I think you and me as parents, right, there's probably no limit to what you would do for your kids. But there's a limit to what you can do for your kids, if that makes sense. And so I understand that, and I have better appreciation for it then. But it's hard, I think, as a kid, you don't see that. You're not balancing the checkbooks. You're not paying the bills. You don't know how much money's coming in. I didn't. And to not see that and not feel a little bit jaded, a little bit like gypped. And so one of the things that I appreciated for this book is I thought it really artfully balanced itself between a book for kids and a book for the parents.
Yep.
And I think what this could do, as I was reading it, is as we maybe have people who are in really tough spots. And when I think back to my childhood, I probably wouldn't have understood a book like this fully, but it probably would have helped me see like another family, even though it's a faux family in a book, that I wasn't the only one. Because I think it's so easy to compare yourself, especially like kids that go to school. What did you get for Christmas? Or what did you get for the holidays? Or what did you get for, your birthday? And like, did you get a PlayStation? And to compare yourselves to other people and not really understand that concept of money. And as people maybe struggle with this and maybe struggle with, I think, talking to your kids about this might be a good way to say, hey, this is a reality. And maybe we're not even in this place yet, but proactively we're going to tighten our belts because, as you said at the beginning of this, to land the plane, maybe some people are just kind of doing what they're doing because they're not sure what they should do. And like, they're not prepared to make any changes. Maybe they just don't want to interrupt the status quo or interrupt what their kids are feeling. And so it's a short book. It's beautifully done. I mean, I think the graphics here are supposed to be a little bit Spartan, but it's not like cartoonish. It's art in many ways. And so I really appreciated it for that. And like you said, if your kids appreciate it, I think that's the key, is that if you have the audience that can hear this, between both the kids and the adults, this could be a helpful book for parents that are trying to broach that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it could draw out, some different questions from kids. I was trying to think. I think my kids were just, wondering. I mean, they obviously loved the kind of the cat being called the dog. That was probably the thing that was maybe the lighthearted ending note that, that's probably most of what they left with. But they were really intrigued. It wasn't the kind of standard kids book, like you said, where it's sort of just silly or happy the whole time. I don't know if we've read a lot of sad kids books. They're mostly in the other vein, like I just said. So this was just more serious, and I really did appreciate the chance to show them that, and kind of surround that then with some explanation on just what's going on,